Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jason. I thought I'd go live. I had my fill of Thanksgiving goodies, and I just had some downtime. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna go through some of my wrestling cards and just kind of just hang out. I don't know if anybody will even pop on or not. Nobody. I might have 0 people pop on, which is fine. Um, Hope everybody can hear me okay. Move everything around a bit. But yeah, I just thought I'd hop on for a little while, talk some turkey. Talk some turkey. Oh, my hair isn't wacky. I thought it'd be wacky today, but it's not. Yeah, so we had Thanksgiving earlier this afternoon, and I didn't really do much. I know for a lot of people it's a big production. Hey, what up, Doug? Hey, all right, man. Cool beans. Thanks for hopping on, Doug. It's a big production in the past. I don't know how you all do in your all's neck of the woods, but it seems talk some turkey. See, I'm already out there with the puns. But I've noticed, I feel like in the yesteryear, people were more apt to seem like they got together with families. Families try to find time to get together. I don't know, maybe it's just a Jason thing, maybe just a my family thing, but it seems like now as we've gotten older, family doesn't seem to get around as much anymore. So it's just me and my son and his mom. We get together and have our own soiree. And so ours is pretty quick. I mean, we get together, eat Thanksgiving lunch, and then that's the end of the day. We don't really do much outside of that. So it may have to do with me living up in Indianapolis area opposed to being down from my hometown area of Southern Indiana. Maybe that's it. But it just always feels a little bit like when I was growing up, it was like an event. I don't know if it was like that for you all, but it was an event in the 80s and 90s. It was the whole family. Now, granted, my dad's family is like Irish Catholic, so there's lots of kids and grandkids and all that and stuff, but that might have had something to do with it. But growing up, it was always like big get-togethers, and now, everybody kind of does their own thing, and it doesn't feel so. Is that like an important date on the calendar? Let's say it feels like it used to be. So I don't know. I'm hoping I'm not doing that to my son. I hope my son isn't growing up thinking, the holidays are just for a hot minute and then we're done. So maybe I don't know. It's interesting. Something I'm just kind of processing as the days are going on. But anyways, let's get into some of this where we get this chit chat and I'll show some cards. So some wrestling cards. I've like exclusively moved to wrestling cards. I'm really not doing much of anything else anymore. I got a call today, I had I don't know if y'all remember, Hidden Gem, Raphael, he reached out to me today and we talked. It was a really nice talk. We talked for probably about a half hour, 45 minutes. And, him and I were talking. He was talking about sports cards and everything. And I'm like, buddy, hermano, mi amigo, mi hermano. I don't do the sports card thing anymore. So, I said, if you come across some wrestling cards, I'll be your Huckleberry. So, but it is what it is. So I'm just going to kind of show cards and talk and just talk about whatever that comes to mind. And then we'll get kind of to it about that. So first up is some Kushida. Japanese guy. He was in NXT. I don't follow WWE at all, really. He was a WWE guy. This was his rookie card, Topps Chrome. I heard Topps is no longer going to have the WWE license. It was going to Panini starting next year. I know I've heard some guys in the community that I do listen to from time to time talk about, I guess, excuse me, Topps lost the sports to some other, I don't know, kind of fanatics maybe, if I'm not mistaken. correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they said Fanatics, which I didn't even know they did sports cards. I thought they did like those lame, like fathead, like decals or whatever. But anyways, I guess they got the sports card market or something. So anyways, Panini has WWE. Upper Deck has AEW, which is the real wrestling I follow. Is the only wrestling I really follow other than the vintage and the guys, the Hall of Famer guys, and the olden day guys. So that's the reason why I get a lot of WWE cards, or if they're Japanese, I'll pick them up. But the thing I've known things that I have known, I have come into or gained or have come to know. That's what I was looking for. The phrase I was looking for is that wrestling cards are just a lot like baseball cards. There's a bunch of rocks that you can turn over and find that you didn't know existed, of different sets and different companies and different inserts and promos and food and beverage and snacks and ice cream and all kinds of stuff out there of different kinds of wrestling cards, which is really cool for people like myself. I mean, I think about, the John Mangini's and the Dave Blue Jacket 66, where that's really where their bread and butter is. Some of those, I know John doesn't like the word oddball, but those oddball, unique cards and that like food and beverage stuff. So it was kind of cool to find out that wrestling has an equivalent of that. So I've been looking for a lot of that oddball stuff, and just to get it. And I do have to say, the more I think about it, I love wrestling. Maybe I always had wrestling in the back of my mind, because even though I loved baseball for the longest time and I loved watching baseball, I didn't really feel the nostalgia that I feel with wrestling. Wrestling felt like it was such a part of my childhood for such a long time. I started watching wrestling when I was probably, I don't even know, 5 or 6 years old, maybe even younger. And I pretty much watched it religiously up through high school, right when right before the Attitude Era really kicked off. So I missed a lot of that because I was in high school. The Attitude Era really started, I graduated in 98. So the Attitude Era was kind of like right at the precipice, if I'm not mistaken. And I kind of jumped ship at that point in time. I remember a friend of mine named Larry. I won't say his last name, but I grew up. We were in high school. We were freshmen in high school, and I probably stopped watching it by my freshman year. And I know for sure by my sophomore years, I was way too much into girls and other activities that I was not watching wrestling. And his brother was driving us to school one day. We went to a small Catholic high school in Indiana. And he told us, me and my brother, we were just talking, and he goes, well, it's kind of hard to believe sometimes such and such storyline was happening because, wrestling's real, and you have to just think about these storylines. And I go, I'm sorry, what? And he goes, because the wrestling's real. And I said, Larry, it's predetermined. It's not, it's real as far as they're wrestling. Like they're, really throwing each other around, and they're real athletic in that reality, but it's not, it's predetermined. Like they know what's going to happen when they get in the ring. They know what's going to happen. They might even know exactly what moves they will end up doing. So in that capacity, it's not real. It's not like it's a real sport when it comes to when two baseball teams show up, you really don't know who's going to win. It's going to be it has yet to be determined who's the winner. But he was trying to argue with us that they never knew who was going to win, and I'm like, yes. And I'll never forget that, because even though when I was a kid, I thought that. When I was a kid, I really thought, yeah, it's not real. I mean, it was real. This is really happening. These are all real storylines. This is like a male soap opera unfolding before my eyes. And I loved every minute of it. As I got older, I enjoyed the athleticism. I did enjoy the storylines a lot more because I understood them better. And as I got older, also during that time, the storylines were a lot more more not teenage friendly to adult friendly, more they were kid friendly. When I was growing up, it was the perfect time. A lot of the storylines were very simple, good versus evil storylines. As time went on, and time went on to the point of by the Attitude Era ended, it was a lot more adult-oriented storylines. Now AEW, they treat you like an adult, and they have a lot more adult-oriented storylines, whereas WWE has like a PG, like, you know, Disney version of wrestling, and it's just goofy. I don't like any of it. There's a few wrestlers I kind of like to watch. If I see them, like, I'll watch some clips. But I couldn't tell you hardly any storylines that are happening at any given time, or what wrestlers doing what, or what, you know, who they're in a beef with or not whatnot. But I know everything there is to know with AEW. There's not a storyline or a wrestler I really don't watch or follow. I watch all four: AEW Dark, AEW Elevation, AEW Dynamite, and AEW Rampage. So I'm a true believer. We're talking about some more WWE guys. We got Shinsuke Nakamura, the practitioner of Japan. What is it? I forgot what they call it. Strong style. So this is a rookie card from Shinsuke Nakamura. So this is a basic one here. Another one. Here's a Kairi Sane rookie card. I picked this up. And again, these are all, she's actually left and went back to Japan, I think. Before if I'm not mistaken, Nia Jax, who just got released by WWE, injured her on the way out the door. She was on the way out the door. She, like, busted her teeth in or something. It was terrible. But there's Kairi Sane. Well, it used to be that WWE was going around just picking up all the talent, so no other promotion could get the talent. So their roster is so overbloated. It was just like, you know, it was like after Thanksgiving dinner, their roster. And so they just now started cutting a bunch of people out, and they're just leaving what I guess they think's the cream. Unfortunately for them, they've cut a bunch of really quality guys and gals, and AEW's benefited from that a considerable amount. That brings me to the next guy here, Andrade. He goes by the name Andrade El Idolo. In AEW, here he's wrestling Rey Fenix. But he just had a match last night with FTR and Malachi Black, who also was released by WWE. He went by the name, he goes by Aleister Black now. He went by the name Malachi Black. And they took on Cody Rhodes, Pac, who went by Neville in WWE, and the Lucha Bros, and who I don't believe ever worked for WWE. But I really like Andrade. I know when he first started out, he kind of started out slow, a little bit like Miro, who also went by Rusev in WWE. But in the last couple weeks to a month and a half, he's really kind of came into his own. He kind of plays like a Mexican cartel big boss, which I like. He initially wasn't really speaking a lot in English. I guess English is still, I guess, a little bit difficult for him, so he wasn't talking a lot. But then he's starting to talk more now, which is great, because even if his English is not his first language, he comes across a lot more realistic. He was using other people. He even used, "Oh, Chavo, ooh, Chavo." He was on there for about a month and a half as kind of his mouthpiece. And then he ended up getting beat up by Andrade. And I don't know if that meant like he's been written off altogether from AEW or what. But anyways, he wasn't really doing much talking. And I think that kind of certain characters maybe need to do, maybe they can't talk. And that they could be English to be their first language, but they're not good on the mic, because they call it good on the stick. They're not good with it. They don't cut good promos. They can't gauge the audience's interest in their, talking either into a live crowd or cutting a promo in the back. And Andrade, so far with what he's been given or what he's come up with, has been pretty good. He pretty much is running down Pac and Cody Rhodes on the mic, which is good, because who doesn't want to run down Cody Rhodes? He's a jabroni. Someone who's not a jabroni is, there you go, The Undertaker. He's probably a WWE lifer. I don't ever see him. You never say never in wrestling, but I never see him ever leaving and going to AEW. That'd be epic if he did, because I would love to see an Aleister Black Undertaker match. That would be so cool. Chief J Strongbow, a gimmick that you will probably never see in wrestling again. On this is a 1985 Titan sports card. You will, even though this dude is legitimately a Native American, he will probably never, you'll probably never get away with dressing like this, kind of like Tatanka. I don't even think Tatanka comes out in like his, maybe I haven't seen him in a while, but I don't even think Tatanka comes out in his whole like get up like he used to back in the 90s. Because he'd come out and do the whole war chant and the dancing and the hopping around with the war paint and the headdress and all that stuff, and with like the little drum and the I don't know if he would. I don't know if that would go over now. I think a lot of us would be fine with it, but I don't know how much that would go over. Then we have Rowdy Piper on this. This is a French card this is an OPC card right here with Rowdy Piper. He's also with Randy Orton's dad here on the side, Cowboy Bob Orton and Lou Duva. He did a boxing match with Mr. T. So we have Rowdy Piper. I got to meet Rowdy Piper one time about maybe 3 or 4 years before he passed away in Indianapolis. He came and did like a horror film convention called Days of the Dead. And it was awesome. I know I've said this before and I'll probably talk about it again, but he was an awesome guy. He had a pretty steady line of people throughout the entire off and on weekend when I was there paying attention. And I just got lucky. I was walking by his table and like no one was there. They kind of had him in a separate room in the hallway of all places, but like it was a room that was kind of like, back off the main hallway. And I mean, initially I think they did that because there was so many people. It was like the line could start at his table and just kind of trickle down the hall. And then, after you get his autograph, there's not much more reason to hang around because it was just him at that table. There's nobody else around. So I just happened to be walking by and I saw him just kind of chilling at his table. And I went up to him and he was the nicest as he could be. Very, very accommodating, very, very nice. I tried to ask him questions that weren't necessarily related to a lot of the main things that he would talk about with his wrestling career. He liked talking about his movie career. He was doing movies at the time, like low budget B movies. So he wanted to talk more about stuff like that. If you want to talk to him and actually have more of a conversation with him, I did mark out a bit for him. I was telling him I was such a huge fan of him when I was growing up in the Piper Pit, and and he would just call me Jason the whole time, like we've been friends. Since there was nobody there, I actually had like more than a minute with him. I had like probably about 3, 4, 5 minutes. And we were just talking, and he signed a They Live 8x10, which I still have hanging up in my house. And he said, I'm here to chew gum and kick ass, and I'm fresh out of chew gum or whatever his line is. And that was really cool of him. But yeah, he was so nice. Called me by my first name, shook my hand. It was like an additional $20 for his picture. So I was like, I'm not getting a picture with him. I was there. I remembered it. I'm not selling that autograph. So I was like, I don't need anything special. So I just paid for the autograph, and that was it, which was like $20. Which in hindsight, $20 for Rowdy Piper on an 8x10, that's a pretty good deal. Next up is the Excellence of Execution. Right here, Bret the Hitman Hart. There you go. I know a lot of people, this is their favorite wrestler. This is off of a 2017 Topps. All these legend cards in this set could go for anywhere between a few bucks to I've even seen $10, $15, $20 on some of the wrestlers. I don't know why. I don't know if they were short prints, but there's a handful in this set that I looked up online and they go for a lot more money. So I just got lucky and opened up a few boxes a couple years ago because they were like giving them away at Walmart at the time or, Meijer or wherever I went. And they were just like $10 a box or $8 a box. So I picked up, a handful off and on. So there you go. So Bret the Hitman Hart, you got the Montreal screw job, everybody he's known for. But his brother Owen Hart, unfortunately passed away in the ring. But I really like Bret the Hitman Hart. I've always thought he was a great wrestler. I feel like he really, unfortunately, kind of like unceremoniously kind of just like left wrestling because he got screwed by WWE. And then later, he ended up getting injured, and he never really was the same again. He pretty much had to retire at that point. So, but I've always enjoyed Bret the Hitman Hart. Hey, what up, Larry? Yeah, he signed like 100 autographs for me of the movie we did. Yeah, dude. He was such a great guy. I have nothing but just good memories of meeting Piper. Like I said, he had no ego. He had no like entourage with him, like you have sometimes with some of these other wrestlers I ran into before. They thought very highly of themselves, and they were a lot younger, I guess. So there's that. I met Jericho was there one time when he must have been between gigs. He was there, and he was such a arrogant douchebag. He had no interest in. He was like taking phone calls while he was signing autographs. People tried to talk to him, and he just was kind of like, what was your name? What, Tiffany? Okay. All right, thanks, Tiffany. So, yeah, what were you saying? And that was like, that's a huge bad impression. I mean, now he might be different now, but that was really at the heart of him being like mega hot. So I think maybe he probably did that thinking, this would be a good way to make some money. But then he realized, you actually have to interact with fans. It's not like a quick WWE like meet and greet that you're in and out in 20 minutes or an hour. It's like this was like an all-day thing for 3 days straight or whatever. So I get the vibe that he probably regretted agreeing to do it. Talking about Chris Jericho, here we go. We got this in the insert set with him doing the code breaker. Who is he doing the code breaker on? I can't tell who that is. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know who that is. Does it say on the back who's doing the code breaker on? I don't know. I don't see it. But anyway, so there is Chris Jericho. And then we got Undertaker doing the last ride. Right there. I think that's Triple H. I think that's Triple H he's getting ready to just take down. Never been a big fan of Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Triple H. The Game, King of Kings. I never been a big fan of his. I feel like, I know a lot of people like him. I'm like, eh. Here we got the Lion Salt with Chris Jericho on this one again. And I think this is Kevin Owens. Right here. KO. Kevin Owens will be Bob Lewis just sent me a text, so that was cool. Kevin Owens will soon be with the AEW. His contract with WWE is over with, I believe, in January. Then he'll have a 90-day no-compete clause, so that means probably like April he'll be able to sign. And they're already showing their hand, heavily alluding to the fact that Kevin Owens, who I think his real name is Kevin Steen, will be heading towards AEW once it's all said and done. Here we got the Walls of Jericho, again with Chris Jericho. I'm pretty sure that's Shawn Michaels he's got in the Walls of Jericho. So there you go. Chris Jericho is still very much a mainstay on AEW. He actually just yesterday was on Dynamite, and apparently he's going to team up with Eddie Kingston against 2.0. So that'll be interesting. The AEW is all about the dream matches. And sometimes they're dream matches you don't even know they're going to be dream matches. You're like, I don't know if I even wanted that match to happen, but now that you put it together, I'm like, yes, I want to see these guys wrestle. And like that was like the whole thing with Cody Rhodes and Aleister Black. Like I don't like Cody Rhodes. I haven't liked him really. I liked him at the beginning of his AEW run. I didn't really watch him at all at WWE. And I kind of liked him, but then he kind of got, preachy. And he like tries to tell people like you can't ever tell how much of it is kayfabe and how much of it is, how much of it is, he's shooting. But he talks a lot out of his butt about just like who he is and about the wrestling business and, and like what he thinks is best and, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes he just gets a little bit too full of himself. And this past summer, he really got himself, especially last year. And ever since then, people been booing him. But him and Aleister Black's been having some good matches, and him and Andrade's been having some good matches. So I'm all right. I'm okay with that. Luke Gallows, right here. He's in TNA now, but he also crossed over to the AEW. But this is a WWE card. Him and Carl Anderson. Which what are they? I forgot what they're called. All of a sudden, I can't remember their name of their tag team champs over on TNA. Shoot, I can't. But it's Anderson and Gallows. They still go by those names. I can't remember their tag team name. But this guy, they really do. They really do up the whole WCW, Wolfpack, New World Order, NWO stuff. They're always referencing that on their skits and videos and promos. They're big time about that live. Now he goes by Pac, but this is Neville with a WWE. Again, anybody who's small in WWE and Vince McMahon's world and Vincent Kennedy McMahon's world gets bypassed over because he only likes those big beefy dudes. So if you are a small guy, even if you're like a Chris Jericho, Eddie, oh my gosh, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, this is another Pac card right here. But if you're a small guy, you're not going to get pushed in WWE. And if you do get pushed, it's usually just for a short time and then they knock you down. So here we got, again, Neville, but he goes by the name Pac in AEW. He's great. He's a fantastic wrestler. And just like Adam Cole and maybe not Bryan Danielson, but, Adam Cole, and I'm trying to think of a few other guys they let go recently. I can't think of it right now. But they let them go, and they're a lot smaller. And they just don't think they're going to have it in them. Here we got an old school card from 1985, I believe. It is Andre the Giant and Big John Studd. So here you go. This is Giants in action. Andre the Giant, Big John Studd. Real life, Big John Studd, or Andre the Giant did not like Big John Studd in real life. And I mean, it's kind of funny if you think about it because the stuff that people say, the reason why Andre the Giant did not like Big John Studd was because Big John Studd was big like him. Big John Studd wasn't really like the kind of guy who was trying to not be like a top dog. Like he was okay with being a top dog. And Andre wanted to be the top dog. And then there was like petty stuff like Big John Studd, went over the top rope with his legs. Like he got in the ring by going over the top rope. And supposedly only Andre was allowed to do that. So he got some heat from Andre about that. So when you hear those kind of stories, you're like, really? Wrestling's quite different nowadays, I believe, or at least they try to make it out to be that way. That those are the kind of things that you're not going to get heat for. But back then, it was like, who do you think you are doing? That's my thing. You do not go over the rope. You're going to go between the ropes like everybody else. Only I, Andre, is going to go over the rope when I step into the ring. That's just, you think that's so petty, but that's just the way things were, I guess, back then. Here's a Royal Rumble card. Battle of the Big Men Battle. It's a battle royale. Created by apparently Pat Patterson, which I'm not going to get into why I can't stand Pat Patterson and how somehow he's gotten a pass from all the shenanigans you hear about in the world with people doing terrible things to each other. He somehow got a pass. But there's like, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's so many people talked about Pat Patterson abusing children, abusing other wrestlers in an inappropriate way. I don't even know how I know how Vincent Kennedy McMahon, had his back from day one and like always went to bat for him and protected him. But anyways, here you got the Battle Royale. So let's try to see who's on here. We can find. We got Big John. We got Big John Studd. We got the B. Brian Blair and the other B guy, whatever. We have Hillbilly Jim. I believe that's William the Refrigerator Perry over there. He was in the WrestleMania, Royal Rumble back in the day. He's the guy in the red tank top trying to throw over Big John Studd there. You see that? I don't know. They might be a little bit blurry, so I'm sorry. I'll back that thing up a bit. I can't tell anybody else, but I'm pretty sure And there's Andre the Giant in the back now that I see him. He's so tall. He's back there behind Big John Studd. You see barely the top of his head. So there you go. So got that card. That's from that's an O-Pee-Chee card. All right. Let's see what's next. A couple other cards here. Here we have, it looks like Ken Pantera. Oh no, it's Don Morocco with Hulk Hogan. So there you go, Hulk Hogan on this O-Pee-Chee card. It says banging away. Whoa now. Whoa. Banging away. Bangarang. Old Hulkster. Which I find it so interesting. So I guess I'll get on a soapbox here real quick. So Hulk Hogan said some inappropriate things a decade ago, long in that privately, by the way, again. So his private conversations was put out there, and people demonized him and said he was like, the second level of Satan because of what he said. He apologized, and the people who knew him said that he was not, he was not a racist person or whatever. And we're talking about people who've known him for 30, 40, 50 years. Black wrestlers, all kinds of wrestlers said that they didn't think people who lived and grew up with him and like wrestled with him didn't say anything negative about him and said, hey, he made a mistake. It was inappropriate. He apologized. It was again a private conversation, but he gets demonized as like some terrible, horrible, evil person. But Pat Patterson, who diddles little boys, is like, a saint. Kind of crazy. We got George the Animal Steel right there. He had a program with Miss Elizabeth and Randy Macho Man Savage. A little known fact, George Animal Steel was a school teacher before he became a wrestler. Can you imagine? George Animal Steel, who made his tongue green, I believe that was his thing. He had a green tongue. And he would bite open and rip apart the belt buckle, the top belt buckle, and he would stick the stuffing in his mouth, and then he would proceed to throw it on the ground or spit it out or whatever. But George Animal Steel. It says, still is strange. He has a green tongue, so there you go. He likes to eat the ring buckle, a ring turnbuckle. No wonder they call him the Animal. No one wrestles like him, too. He kind of had the mannerisms of like a gorilla or an ape sometimes in the ring, which was strange. Again, I mean, it worked. It worked back then. If I think if a wrestler came out nowadays and did that kind of like over the top wrestling, you're probably not going to get very far. Sometimes I've noticed people will come out with a pretty, absurd gimmick, and you're just like, no, I don't think that's gonna work. And I'm right. Usually, so far, I'm right. But once in a while, a gimmick comes through, and I'm like, that looks stupid. And then it goes like the Jungle Boy thing. Like Jungle Boy, I was like, okay, that was a gimmick he kind of started when he'd been doing it on the Indies, and that's actually Luke Perry's son, Jungle Boy Jack Perry. But he wrestles with a guy who's like the size of Luca, so he's like 5 foot tall. And he wrestles with a guy named Luchasaurus, who's dressed like has a luchador mask that's a dinosaur, who also has a green tongue, and he goes around like doing stuff called like the whiplash and stuff like that. So I'm like, there's no way Jungle Boy is like a hot baby face, like a white hot baby face. Like he's super popular, everybody loves him. He has a song called Tarzan Boy that came out in the '80s. That's his like theme song. And I thought for sure he would probably drop that gimmick once he really got going and became like Jack Perry or something. But he's still running with the Jungle Boy gimmick, and he comes out in a loincloth still, kind of thing. And I'm like, he has like disheveled, crazy like Tarzan hair. I mean, like I said, luckily for him, he's already a very fantastic wrestler. But his appearance is kind of gimmicky, so I was like surprised they're still doing it. Like Sammy Guevara came out. And I guess his gimmick back in the Indies also, and he kind of did it in WWE or AEW, was he came out dressing like had a panda bear outfit on, like a panda bear head or grizzly bear head, and then it was like cosplay as a bear, and he had like a bear like an Afghan or like a sweater with a bear, like the claws hanging down off of it. He had a headgear, and then he did that for like a hot minute, and then I think everybody realized like, no, you're not going to come out dressed like a panda bear, and he got rid of it, and now he's like, you know, in the inner circle with Chris Jericho. He's a TNT champ. So I think once you drop your kind of goofy gimmick, it becomes more realistic that you're going to get pushed. So I'm hoping Jungle Boy will turn into Jack Perry or a variation of Jungle Boy, preferably not Jungle Man, and do something else. Here we got Greg the Hammer Valentine, supposedly one of the more stiffer wrestlers during the, I don't know if it was 70s, but 80s and 90s for sure. And Greg the Hammer Valentine was one of those guys that was like, oh, it seemed like he was everywhere, and then he wasn't. It seemed like he was all over, like I think AWA, WWF. He was an Intercontinental Champion, I think, for a while. I can't remember if he was a European champ. I can't remember. I don't think he was ever the heavyweight champion. But then all of a sudden, it's like one day he was gone. It might have been me. I stopped watching. Maybe he just stopped. Then we have the Iron Sheik putting someone in the camel clutch, which was his go-to submission hold. He put a lot of jabronis in the camel clutch over the years. I want to say that Iron Sheik is one of those few guys who like to live his gimmick. Even now, even though, you know, everybody knows he's a supposedly really nice old man, but he still likes to cuss people out and say crazy stuff. I mean, he's had to, of course, tone it down a bit with in the modern day, because the stuff he used to say ain't gonna fly now. They would cancel an 85-year-old Iranian man, I'm sure, in a heartbeat if they got a chance. So he's not even Iron Sheik is safe from not getting canceled for the stuff that he said. They go back and look at his stuff that he used to say in his old tweets. Whew, that would make anybody. And like I said, I like that stuff. I think it's great. You shouldn't censor yourself. If you don't like it, then don't listen to it, don't watch it, don't read it, whatever. But anyways, but yeah, he's one of those guys that like lived his gimmick, and you know, he'd walk around spitting on the flag, spitting on, you know, just going off saying how Iran's number one, America sucks, all this kind of stuff, and man, get people riled up. It was awesome. Kind of like what MJF does now. MJF just goes around just talking all this smack. And then we have Andre the Giant, Battle Royal winner. Andre with the yellow trunks and the yellow boots, which you hardly ever see him wear that. I think this might have been a one-time only thing. I don't remember him hardly ever wearing the yellow. That's got a very much Hulk Hogan vibe. So he was the Battle Royal winner in Royal Rumble or WrestleMania Part 2. This card's seen better days, so I'll probably need to upgrade eventually. Then we got the first Governor, Jesse the Body Ventura right here. Big fan of Jesse Ventura. I always liked him. I liked his approach. I liked him better as a commentator. He was a wrestler, but he was wrestling, I believe, in the AWA, and I didn't really watch a lot of those matches. And when he went to WWE, he pretty much was like exclusively a commentator. He was definitely rocking the 80s vibes. He had the crazy hairdos, the crazy glasses, the crazy outfits. He's running around with a bow on, and I mean, he kind of looked like the wrestling version of Liberace. He was out of control. I liked him. He had become obviously the Minnesota governor. Kind of completely changed the way he, you know, approached the. I think he was like a third party, like a libertarian or something like that also. So that was unusual. But he won. And I think he was a governor for quite a few years. And then we have another Opeachy, Jake the Snake Roberts. Now, when I met Roddy Piper, I was so excited because Roddy Piper played good guy and bad guy, heel and baby face off and on in his whole career. And when I saw him before, like I said, he just seemed like such this approachable guy. Now, when I met Jake the Snake Roberts, there's a picture of me somewhere on my Facebook page or whatever, and I look like Peter Griffin like this. standing next to him, standing next to Jay the Snake, and he was like very intimidating. He came across as very scary. Like I just think he was very nervous, or he was. I don't know. I don't want to say he was nervous because he was nervous about people. I just think in an unguarded situation, he kind of came off as a little bit more standoffish. Not in a negative, in a bad way. Just I think he didn't know how to interact with the crowd. He was kind of, you could tell he was trying to sell his merchandise and trying to sell a lot and try to get his autograph. And he was going around telling, me and my buddy I was with, like, hey, if you don't hurry up and get this autograph, I'm going to do a one-time only deal for you guys. I'll do an autograph and a picture for like $25. I don't do that for everybody. But then he says that to everybody at the bar that he was going to do the stand-up. He did a stand-up comedy hour and a half. And basically just him telling stories from back when he was on his wrestling days, which was fine. It was great. It was very much worth the $20 to get in or whatever it was to pay. It was awesome. And I enjoyed every minute of it. But it was kind of weird because it felt like, I don't know if I want to make that comparison because that would be unfair to poor Jake. But it felt a little bit like just, like I said, odd because it wasn't just like, hey, guys, I'm just going to be here for another 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. Once I'm done, once it hits, I'm going to go up and do my stand-up. I'm out of here. So if you want to get the autograph, if you want to get the picture, like this is the time to do it. Like if you would have just said it like that, that's fine. That's cool. That's what you're there for. But he just kind of just stared at you like, so did you want to get the autograph? Did you want to get a picture? You do the combo, I'll do it for 25. I'm only going to do it for you guys. But then when you left, you'd be like, so you guys want to get the autograph and picture for you all? I'll do it for 25. And it's like, okay. But, and again, he's pretty tall. And again, you don't realize sometimes how tall these guys are because they're around other giants. When you see, Jason Snake's probably 6'3" or 4", I would bet, I bet. I'm not for sure, but he's pretty tall. But when he's sitting next to Hogan or, Andre the Giant, all these other guys, when they're all like 6'6", 6'7", 7 foot, he looks small. But then when you're sitting next to him, you realize, oh my gosh, like right now he's a manager or had been before he had some health issues with the Murder Hawk monster, Lance Archer. And Lance Archer's probably close to, he's probably 6'9", 6'10", I bet. And sitting next to him, he looks, again, small-ish. But Jay the Snake's probably, I'd say, 6'4". I don't know. Talk about giants. Here we go. We got the giant right here, Paul White, a.k.a. The Big Show, who is also with AEW now. He was let go by WWE or his Legends contract or whatever it was that he was on. Expired about, a year ago. And then they brought him on as a commentator, but then he also had done a little bit of wrestling. Now, most of his wrestling have been gimmick matches where it's like him against like 2 or 3, just extras, just like, this talent that they just got off, just got in from the town that they're working in and say, hey, bring in a couple young guys and they're going to wrestle Paul White, aka Big Show. And basically just spends about 5 minutes tossing them around, throwing them around, doing choke slams, throwing them over the, rails and, over the ring, over the top of the ring. And then he like piles them up in a bunch of driftwood and counts all 3 of them out at the same time. So, it's kind of like that. But, he still moves pretty good for, I don't know, he's almost, I guess, in his 50s or over 50 now. I don't know. I guess he's probably close to 50. He's probably not quite there yet. But yeah, Paul White. He seems like such a genuine dude as well. Another guy that was a guy that started, he got started in WCW or NWA maybe, then WCW, then WWE, and been there forever, and now he's with AEW. And he is from a legendary family, Dustin Rhodes, a.k.a. Goldust. So this kind of character, again, probably would not be a character you would see anymore in the wrestling hemisphere because of the implications that it would push in the doors that would probably not be appropriate to walk through in the current atmosphere. But here you have Goldust, and it's cool because Dustin Rhodes still paints half of his face. He still does some of the mannerisms as Goldust because he knows the fans like it. That's good fan service. But obviously he's not running around in like these androgynous outfits, or like dressed like a female, or all these like wigs, and like, you know, again, it's like, oh, just too over the top. And here we have him. This is what he looks like more now, except I think he's even in better shape than this. And this is Goldust in 2017. So now he probably had one of the most epic matches against his brother in 2019, early 2020. Him and his brother wrestled in AEW. But yeah, so Dustin Rhodes, really good wrestler. He shows up in lots of vlogs, online AEW connected vlogs, and you can tell he's a good guy. Like, he seems like he's like no nonsense sometimes, but you can tell like he just wants to have fun. He's laughing and seems like a really like legit good dude. Next up, you have two characters again that you will probably never see in wrestling. I could venture to say you would never see these wrestlers again because they would be stereotypes that would not be acceptable. This is a OPG from 85 or 87. This is Kimchi and Kamala. So you have Kamala, not to be confused with Kamala. I know it's easy to get confused. As this guy's actually, I think, from Mississippi. Kamala, the Ugandan giant or headhunter. Actually, he's from Mississippi, but he's playing an African headhunter. And they have him dressed up in like all this, you know, African garb, and he doesn't really talk, and he does lots of grunts and moans and hollers and chants and all this stuff, which you would never get away with now, because that would be like so like over the top, stereotypical, like whatever. And then you have a white guy as his like manager, but he goes by the name Kimchi, which again would be like a Asian Korean reference, but this white guy, it's called Kimchi, and he's dressed up like some kind of like great white hunter with a mask on. These gimmicks you would not see in America in 2021. Probably not, like I said, never again. Now, the one thing is, even though Kamala was not a huge maybe like character for over the 80s and 90s, he was a major player and wrestler because he's one of the few guys that was as big as Hulk Hogan, as big as Andre the Giant, and could wrestle well enough to make it like a actual match that would make you go, well, Kamala could win. Because I would think Kamala is probably 6'7", 6'8" himself. He's a big boy. He can move. He kind of was like that. You know, he was not as big as Yokozuna, but he was that believable big guy that could throw you around, that could move around well, can put you on holds, and you know, wear you down and just muscle you around. Which again, you know, finding a heel character that could do that believably. Sometimes, you know, like when you have somebody like a Ric Flair up there against like a Hogan, you're just like, it's not real, dude. It's just not going to happen. Like, I know that's probably going to be like a hot take, but Kamala was just like a big brute. So, and he just passed away last year. He actually had it must have been right before the election because he had his shirt on that right before he passed, and it was like on his Instagram or Facebook or somewhere, and it said vote for Kamala, and it was spelt Kamala, like this him Kamala. 2020 or 2021 or something like that, and I was like, "Yep, there you go. That's the Kamala I would vote for." So good deal. Then we have, I'll do a couple more. Then we have Dino Bravo, Johnny B, and Greg the Hammer Valentine, and this is another OPG. Dino Bravo. I want to say Dino Bravo was the one who got killed. He got killed by some gangsters up in Montreal, Quebec. I think it was Dino Bravo. On the Dark Side of the Ring, they did an episode on him, and I want to say it was Dino Bravo, but he ended up getting killed by some apparent Montreal, I don't know, Quebec gangsters, if I'm not mistaken. Again, Greg the Hammer Valentine. I just love Greg the Hammer Valentine. He's still alive. He has shown up in AEW on the dog collar match. He showed up for that. And I want to say he might have done something else, but he was there for that. And then we have the Dynamite Kid right here. Dynamite Kid, Davey Boy Smith, right here. And they had actually an episode of him recently as well on this past season of The Dark Side of the Ring. I really liked him in the British Bulldog, which is coming up next. The British Bulldog. So you got both of these guys. So I guess Davey Boy Smith's the British Bulldog. I think I called the Dynamite Kid. I don't really remember what his name was. Did they tell you what his name is on here? They do not. So you have the British Bulldog here and Davey Boy Smith. I'm sorry, Dynamite Kid. I really like both of these guys. These are good wrestlers. Davey Boy Smith's no longer with us, nor is the Dynamite Kid. They're both passed. So this is at 87, I think. 87 OPGs from WWF. Talking about big man that could be believable, not to be an actual like villain to Andre and Hulk Hogan and a few of these other guys. It's King Kong Bundy right here from New Jersey. I did not know he was from New Jersey. But again, he's just a big old dude. I don't really remember him. He's kind of like Andre the Giant. Like, they did a couple holds that big guys can do, but they weren't really, obviously, they weren't like ring generals. They weren't like breaking out any kind of like 5-star matches. They just kind of were big and couldn't really get beat by the little guys, and the big guys should give them a decent run for their money. I think we've gotten spoiled in modern wrestling because big guys now, even big guys, maybe not as big as King Kong Bundy, but you have people like J.D. Drake, who's as a rotund dude. He's not like, crazy overweight, but he's a big guy, and he goes. You have Lance Archer, who's like 6'7", like I said, 6'9", whatever, and he's doing like moonsaults and like walking on the tightrope or the top rope. I mean, you have all these big guys doing stuff like that. It's not just like the Rey Mysterios anymore doing it. It's like big guys. And I think when we go back and watch wrestling back then, it doesn't feel as exciting because these big guys, they were brought in just because they were big. They had successful careers because they were like not able to be moved around by most other guys. And when they would wrestle, the big stars of the day, the guys were just as big as they were and could throw them around and were believable. But they weren't doing like any crazy moves. They weren't doing any kind of submission holds. They were doing just like leg drops and body slams and crushing you in the corner, and that was the stuff they would do. Now, talking about a guy who was kind of high flying for his day, Randy Macho Man Savage with Miss Elizabeth right there. Got picked up by the Cincinnati Reds. Did you know? He got picked up by the Reds, but he did not go and pursue that career. Learned a lot about him in the Dark Side of the Ring as well with him and Miss Elizabeth and all that. But this is another good one right there. I've always loved this card. I believe this is 85, if I'm not mistaken. I think 87. Sorry, I was mistaken. But Randy Macho Man Savage, I'm a huge fan of his. The match that he had with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, with Hogan, they were just all great ones. I heard that, Larry, he has a Reds card. I have heard that. I've seen it like in a video, like actually, I think one of the WWF videos showed the Reds card with him on it. Like they had it. But I've never seen one in the wild. I've never seen one in a video. I'm sure it'd be very difficult to get. And if there is one, I'd like to get it. So that card is like it's like the Rock with the Miami Hurricanes. That card is like near impossible to get. And if you do find it, it's like thousands and thousands of dollars. People slept on it for all those years. And now that the cat's out of the bag that card existed, that now it's like tens of thousands of dollars or something crazy. Then we got Jake the Snake Roberts on this 1991 classic. They even have a spot there on the back where you can get the autograph right there. Well, that's so kind. Yeah, I mean, I've never have seen it. A 1974 Topps, I think, wow, that makes sense. It definitely puts in the right, time frame. But yeah, I would love to get it. I mean, like I said, I would never do anything with it. I would definitely just hold on to it for my own personal collection. But it'd be near impossible to find. And like I said, the cat's out of the bag with some of that stuff now that people will spend top dollar getting it. So here we have Jake the Snake Roberts in 91, which is probably, I would say, his biggest time as a wrestler was in the early 90s. He had lots of beefs with Andre, with Million Dollar Man, with Randy Macho Man Savage. So he had lots of stuff going on there. He was very big back then as a heel because he never had to raise his voice. He never was a screamer or a hoot and a holler. He never was a, would walk up on you and do like crazy stuff in the ring. He would just talk, quietly and very decisively on the mic and just let you know how he's going to dismantle you, which was pretty cool. He did like the psychology that he could do in the ring and out of the ring was pretty impressive to say the least. So there you go. So that's another. I did a nice big stack of cards. That went about an hour. So I hope you all enjoy the video. I'll probably be doing another one down the road here. Probably maybe tomorrow morning. I have tons to go through. Just to have something to do to kind of take up part of the night. So I hope you all enjoyed. And if you didn't, thanks for watching anyways. Until next time, peace.